Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. Okay, I think a lot of people are forgetting to think about the fact that we are the observer, the point of view of the observer when we're thinking about the flat Earth and what we can see around us, especially when we're talking about horizons. So here's a portrait, okay, a typical holiday snap. There's our man Charlie, looking very happy by the seaside. Obviously he's not standing in the sea, he's on the seashore, or maybe he's on a wall or a jetty or a pier with the sea in the background. Okay, so here we have a horizon in the background, the clouds and everything. So we've got the sky and the sea coming up to about midway. Forget about precise measurements for now, or whether it really does come up to the midway point. That's kind of irrelevant at the moment. So, okay, there's lots of elements that make up an image, and of course when we're looking at a flat image like this that's composed with depth of field and focus, then of course we're looking at something that's representing a 3D situation, but we're looking at it on a 2D surface. So that's something to think about. Okay, so we have to kind of split the image up to kind of think about what's happening with the foreground and the background. Yeah. So if we look first at focus, okay, just considering the camera is focusing on Charlie's face. Okay, so there is the focal point. So we've kind of got this cone of focus that goes from the wide and to a point, which is obviously, you know, if taking a picture, you like the guy's face to be in focus. Okay, so that's what we've got there, and of course after that then the focus is lessened and it kind of gets broader. We focus on the background less and less, so this all becomes kind of blurry. Of course we still see the shapes of the clouds and everything, the sky. Okay, but one point to think about is that we have this gap here. Okay, you see, we're not seeing what's below Charlie. Okay, we're just seeing what's directly behind him, as it were. Okay, so that's our focus. All right, we've got a cone that comes to a point and then expands out again as the focus becomes less. All right, so now onto the field of view. Okay, so let's just quickly go back to Charlie in the portrait. Okay, the field of view is the frame of the portrait. Yeah, okay, we've got Charlie in it, we've got the clouds in it, we've got the sea in it, we've got all this sky. So this is our field of view. Okay, so that kind of interprets something like this. You know, we've got coming out of the camera and just going, you know, it's cutting off here. You see Charlie's hands aren't in the picture, so here the field of view cuts him off just there. Okay, of course we don't see the sea wall that Charlie's standing on. Okay, so the field of view comes down to here. That's where we start seeing the sea. So all this here is a kind of blind spot. We're not seeing any of this, we don't know it's there. Okay, and at the top as well, it's coming out. Now, there's obviously going to be a point where that field of view kind of levels out. Okay, so choop, choop, and levels out, and choop, choop, levels out. We've got the surface of the water, so it just kind of goes along there. And of course, as we can see here, we've got this blue line representing eye level. Okay, so one thing to think about in this picture is right away we see something that's doesn't really work in the 2D view. We've got the eye level, we can see that. I'm talking about the eye level of the camera, which just happens to be the same eye level as Charlie there. Okay, but when is the water ever coming up to the eye level on a flat or a round Earth? When is that happening? Yeah, if we look at this picture, the water comes up. I mean, we could put a backdrop there and just paint half of it blue and the top half light blue with white fluffy clouds, and we've got our backdrop. But this is, we have got to imagine the 3D situation. So in our field of view, we can see that there are certain parts that aren't going to be visible. They're not going to be within the frame. So all this is within the frame. And then boom, it gets to a limit, doesn't it? It gets to a limit of space, a block of space that we can see. So then we have to think about prism eyes. What is making the water in the background appear to rise up to the eye level? Because when you think about it, it's not physically doing that. It's just not, is it? It's not rising up. It's not rising up. That's just a visual effect. So, what's happening in our eyes? Well, it's like a prism, I would say. This is my opinion from what I've seen. But here we have the camera on the wall. We've got Charlie. We've got the eye level. Now, this is kind of... the red line here is talking about the field of view, but also how that actually gets projected into our eyes, as it were. So it goes out, it reaches its point, this point. So here we have eye level, and as we can see, the sea is down here, the clouds are up here. Okay. So something has to happen in our eyes. Our vision has to create this point to the horizon. It has to bring the water up to the horizon, and it has to bring the sky down to this horizon. Yeah, it has to create the horizon in your mind, in your eye. The horizon has to be created. Yeah? Because here it's not actually happening, is it? In the field of view, the water isn't physically rising up. So our eyes, our prism eyes, have to have a cone of vision that comes out to here, the widest point, and then it has to start tapering off, going to another point in the distance to create our horizon. Yeah? So what we end up getting is the water here. Now at first it's going to be kind of normal waves, and then those waves are going to seem closer together. Over distance we've got more and more waves to squeeze into this smaller and smaller space. Same with the clouds. Okay, those clouds are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and appear to condense into a smaller space. Yeah? So, there we go. That's how, when we take pictures or we look out, we see a horizon which cannot be possible by just considering the geographic shape alone. We must consider how we, as the observer, work it all out. Thank you.